Hello and welcome to Major in Adulting, the podcast where I talk about the transition from uni or trade to work, life, and everything in between in your adulting world. I'm Romaine, mum of 4 young Gen Z adults, and after more than 2 decades helping people and organisations navigate change, I've learned that adulting isn't a finish line. It's a process of learning, adjusting, and showing up each and every time. Every week, I explore honest stories, practical lessons, and real conversations to help you build confidence, direction, and resilience at work and beyond in your adulting life. My guest today has completed her civil engineering degree and is starting the next step in her first professional role. That adulting thing. She studied a course where women were few, but she never let that define her experience. Instead, she's turned that into an advantage, a chance to bring a fresh perspective and stand out for the right reasons. Backed by a scholarship and quiet determination, she embraced the challenge, built a solid foundation through teamwork, hands-on learning, and a genuine curiosity for solving real-world problems. Now she's here, navigating that next exciting phase, from student life to working life, and she's here to share her story so far. Hi, Maclyn. Welcome to
Hi,
Major in
Romaine. How are
Adulting.
you?
I'm good.
Thanks
How
for
are
having
you?
me.
Oh, I'm
Very good,
excited to
thanks.
have you.
Yeah,
Now
I'm
I have to share.
excited to be here.
Now I have to share this little story because when we were trying to schedule this chat, you'd actually found out that you were starting your grad program for real. And you said, and I quote, "The next few weekends are a bit crazy. My scheduling has gone from very, very empty to very, very full. Why is adulting so busy?" And I think I said, "Welcome to adulting, Mac."
Yeah. You go from a few casual shifts a week randomly, and then you have plenty of time for social stuff, and now all of a sudden, 5 days of my 7 are just gone. Done.
Well, we're
So,
going to talk
yeah.
about that in a little bit more detail. But before we jump into the details about your first job and what it's like to start that new chapter, and I'm really excited to hear that, I'd love for our listeners to really understand your story from the beginning. So I'd like to rewind a bit and talk about your university experience, because actually that's where much of the adulting journey kind of begins. So when did you decide that you wanted to pursue engineering and specifically civil engineering?
Yeah, well, I always wanted to be an architect when I was a kid, but I'm not
Okay.
very creative. I'm a lot more math inclined rather than art
Uh-huh.
inclined, so engineering always kind of seemed like the pathway for me.
Uh-huh.
Going into uni, I didn't know what type of engineering I wanted to do. I didn't know really anything about civil. I just knew I didn't want to do it. So I knew I wanted to try all the other ones, but civil, nah, no interest.
Oh,
And
really?
then, yeah. So trying it all, I got to do the flexible first year, which was good. So I got to try all of them out and
Yeah.
tried civil and thought, oh, actually, no, this is what I want to do. So that was
Oh,
good to be able to try all that, because if I had just chosen straight out of high school, I definitely wouldn't have ended up where I am.
okay, that's really interesting. So obviously your
Mhm.
course structured that first year. You did a little bit of everything, which gave you a bit of a taster, if you like.
Yeah. I remember I did like
Yeah.
aerospace, I did mechanical, bit of chemical, which just straight away, not not doing that.
Not for you. Uh,
Yeah, no, too much chemical equations and whatnot.
a bit of chemistry there. I love
Mm,
asking that question because it not only gives our listeners some context, but I think it's helpful for the other young adults who might be considering studying engineering, because it can offer a little bit of a sneak peek into what it's really like studying a degree and some of the challenges that comes with it. Um, so in terms of now, where did you study? Do you want to tell everyone where you studied?
yeah, so I was at RMIT at the Melbourne campus. it was another
Mhm.
factor, I suppose, in choosing civil over mechanical. The mechanical campus was out in Bundoora, and that just no,
Ah, okay.
didn't want to go to Bundoora for
Didn't
that.
wanna go there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up picking civil sort of just because of the location, but it
Okay.
definitely, like I said, definitely was the right thing.
Yeah, that's good. So
Yeah.
let's talk about uni a bit. How long was your course, and what did your degree focus on then after you decided in that first year that civil was your bag?
Mm. Um, yeah, so my first year was in COVID, which sort of changed
Ah, of
things up.
course.
So it was meant to be 4
Yeah.
years, but I extended it to 5 years. I did part-time for 1 semester and then
Uh-huh.
took a semester off when the border restrictions were lifted so I could go see my family in America, which was
Okay.
awesome. And it was definitely a good break in the middle. I know a lot of people take the gap year, and it's people do it for a reason, definitely. Um, Once I chose civil, the degree went a lot more towards the structural design, so a lot of the math, um, structural stabilities of concrete and steel and soil, rather than sort of. I think in my mechanical first year, I think we did escalators and stuff like that. A lot of coding,
Oh.
programming. So it really just zeroed in on the materials within the construction industry, which was interesting, if a little bit difficult. Um,
What was
but
difficult about it?
yeah. Oh, the
What was the
math.
difficult? Okay.
I just remembered, like, methods and whatnot. It was sort of math that you understood and math that I loved.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then going into sort of concrete, like, one of my classes was Introduction to Concrete, and the math
Right.
involved in concrete is just I it wasn't something that I really connected with and understood, so
Ah.
I knew the structural career pathway probably wasn't gonna be something that I was interested in, which,
Uh-huh.
just means the classes weren't as interesting anyway. But, yeah, we also used a lot of the Australian standards and the formulas that were in there. There was a massive focus on group assignments. 'Cause
Yeah.
to sort of mirror real world, all the projects that you do, you're working in a group.
As a team. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was so that was pretty cool once I had made friends and gotten when we were back on campus during COVID, not so cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so lot of group projects, a lot of Australian standards, um, and a lot of math,
Oh, so you must be
which
good
you
at the
wouldn't get.
math, Mac, 'cause
Well, I
wouldn't have
used
been
to be in
wouldn't have
high
been for
school.
me.
I don't know about the uni stuff. I guess I did enough to
Well,
pass. That's
yeah, that's
please get
exactly right.
degrees.
You got through. I'm sure you did more than pass.
Hmm.
Now, what were some of the things that you learned that you think will help you now that you're in your first real job? But I guess
Mm.
retrospectively, what do you think were some of the things that was going to help you as you start to think about entering that workforce?
Well, so I've gone in the direction of project management and construction rather
Okay.
than
Yeah.
engineering design. So I don't use a lot of the
Okay.
math stuff, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I think the biggest thing is more the general knowledge about the materials. You know, I do know how they react. Um, and a lot of the structural drawings that we do, the architectural drawings that we look at, I can look at them and understand what's going on.
Okay.
Things like soil, if somebody says the soil on the site is contaminated, I have a general understanding about what that is from uni. So I'd
Yeah.
say less so the specific knowledge and more so the general knowledge around the terms and the materials and everything that goes on in the process
Yeah.
of constructing a building, essentially.
Okay. That's
Mm,
really good. Good insights. And as you're approaching the end of uni, and you're thinking about this adulting world that's around the corner, and how can I avoid this for a bit? What was going through your mind in terms of what's next?
mm. Well, yeah, the application process normally starts really early in the year, which wasn't
Mhm.
something I realized. So when all my friends were applying for jobs, grad jobs in March, and they said, "Oh yeah, you really need to apply by end of April, May." I
Yeah.
sort of panicked a bit because I realized I probably wasn't ready for full-time work. That definitely wasn't on my radar. Um, so I just decided to wait.
What did you mean by you weren't ready? Not not knowing what you know
Mm.
now, but back then, what was the not ready bit? You
I
just needed a break.
suppose once you start a career, which I still sort of hold to this, that once you're in, you're sort of in and you're done.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, Even if you do want to take a break somewhere in the middle, if you quit your job for a year, your lifestyle grows with your income. So you can't
True.
always afford to just quit and do nothing and be a casual employee for a year. So
True.
I just wanted to make sure that when I was going in, I was ready to commit to it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I
Okay.
still wanted to do a bit of travel, still
Yeah.
wanted to just have some time to chill out.
Yeah.
And yeah, coming off of uni, it is full on in your last years, just with big assignments and all that sort of stuff. So I was I was glad to have a break for sure.
And I'm a big advocate now of
Mm,
having breaks when you finish uni or at some point before you start on that. As you say, once you're in, you're in. And I think that's
mm,
important probably for the first few years as well as you're building your experience. But nothing stops you from getting off if it's not right for you too, I guess. So now you're finished your student life and going back a bit still in time and you're thinking about your professional career. You've obviously thought that you wanted to apply for some grad programs as opposed to just going out and applying for a job. What was the, I guess, thought process and attraction of a grad program as opposed to going and applying for, I guess, an entry or junior level civil engineer?
mm. Yeah, I didn't do any undergraduate engineering jobs, so I think it
Yep.
would definitely be better for people within this industry, especially to when they are at school, start working
Yeah.
part time and get that undergraduate role. Makes the
Right.
transition into going just straight into a job a lot easier.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the practical knowledge to realistically be able to go into a job straight away. So the grad
Yeah.
program offers a lot of flexibility where they don't really expect you to know everything straight away. They are expecting you to learn and to teach you as you go.
Yeah.
It just made a lot more sense for me, especially it gives you more flexibility in what you can do, even if at uni you do have the practical knowledge for one specific thing. You
Yeah.
you can, go into a grad role and do something else and still learn it from scratch.
Okay. Now, how did you decide which companies or organizations you were going to target your grad program applications for? Did you have that in mind?
Yeah, I didn't really know there's so many options, so I just went on Seek, which is just a bit
Yeah.
of a classic, and just saw who was advertising through there. There were a lot.
Okay.
There were heaps. There
Yes.
were
Yeah.
new ones coming out every week. I didn't check every week, probably wasn't as active with it as I should have been, but was active enough.
Yeah.
So I went on and I would see who's applying, and if I saw something that interested me, I would then research the company and
Okay.
look at them, look at sort of their culture and what they did. There were some that I saw what the sort of projects that they worked on and just didn't really
Okay.
have any interest, like high
Interest.
rises and a lot of traffic engineering.
Okay.
So I sort of screened them out and then applied through Seek. I think
Mm-hmm.
most people probably, um, when they're at uni as well, we always used to get sent links for companies that were advertising. A lot of my
Right.
friends went to grad days as well, which
Oh,
I
yes.
know the
Yep.
company I'm at. went to a lot of those grad days, and some of my friends spoke to this company at the grad days. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a great option as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I pretty much did Seek. And then there was another one that I got through a friend of mine who works at a construction company.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another really good resource, just using, it's all about who you know.
Yeah, well, it's the network that's important
Mm,
and start building that early, I think is the advice. Okay, so you predominantly use Seek as your channel, is what I'm hearing you say. And you found a few that you're interested in after you've done your research. And you touched on culture, which is really important because
mm.
why was culture important for you as part of that? Because you did mention that. It wasn't just the job, but the culture, I think you said.
Yeah. I mean, even if you like your job, if you or the
Yeah,
work that you do, if you don't like the company that you're at and the environment that you're surrounded with, this is where you're spending most of your time.
yeah,
So it just doesn't really make sense to go somewhere where their values don't align with your own.
yeah.
Going to be a lot of disconnect between what your career can offer your life.
I love that because there are so many adults my age that sometimes struggle with the purposefulness or contentness of where they are.
Mm.
And I think sometimes it's because they're not maybe totally aligned with the values of themselves and the organization. And look, values are on paper, an organization can say they have values, but who
Mm.
knows how it's actually embodied within. But it's interesting that, and I'm glad you brought it up because it is an important factor. So
Yeah, for
tell
sure.
me, walk through the application process. So obviously, you had a CV or a
Mhm.
resume. Did you have to tweak that in any way each time you applied for these roles? And what resources did you use to tailor your resume and get it up to that application ready? Let's
Mm.
call it.
Yeah, I had a pretty basic resume going all throughout uni. I thought I was always going to apply for an undergraduate role, so I sort of had it ready, but never did.
Yeah,
Um, so I had a good structure, a good base, just tailoring specific skills to show what I had. So certain softwares that I learnt at uni, make sure you include those.
right,
Um, and any skills or values that you have, that's a good thing to include, I would say. Putting in your hobbies and how it relates, and then you can tailor it to maybe some specific values that the company has, and using certain words or certain phrases that if they read your resume properly, it'll pop out to them and sort of trigger a response.
yep,
I definitely did have a CV as well. I think that is a massive thing because most people would include a CV, but not everyone does. So it's immediately a bit of a, I would say, a screen for employers if they don't include a CV. So including a CV is always going to be better than not including a CV. It's more compared to less. I think it's an immediate thing for employers to look at it and screen out. If you didn't include a CV, well, you didn't put the effort into that. They already have plenty that did include a CV.
yep,
And the CV is a good place to tailor it really specifically to the company from what I did. I
yep,
had a couple of paragraphs that I just left blank and I would fill them out about certain projects that the company had done. So I would say, "Oh, your work on this project really interested me because of ABC. Work on that project I loved because of this." So something that the company I'm at now worked on was certain like stadiums, sporting stadiums. So I use that to
right,
connect to the fact that I play footy, and
yep.
using it
Ah,
to show that you do align and you do have a real passion for the work that they specifically are doing.
doing, and
Um,
and that was
yeah.
genuine. And so when you talk about, I know you use Seek. When you talk about those blank spaces, was that like in a pre-fill form that you had to fill in on Seek, where you use that opportunity to then highlight some of the projects that they've done and how your interest and passion aligned with that? Is that what you mean, or did you do it in your CV itself?
I did it within my CV itself. So
Right.
I
Okay.
just had a Word document that was a bit about me, generic stuff, um,
Yeah.
or generic stuff about me that didn't apply to the company that I was applying for. And then I
Yeah.
would always tailor it to make sure I did include parts that were specifically, hey, this aligns with you specifically as a company.
Okay.
So yeah, I just had the running Word document and then I would change up a few things. I had a pretty basic one as well, where if I wasn't super keen on the company, but I still wanted to apply, that I would just sort of just go ahead with it and not tailor it as specifically because it does take time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the tailoring is always a good thing to show, hey, I put the time, effort in,
Yeah.
and just showing that you are on the same wavelength as the company.
Yeah. I love that. That's great
Mm,
advice. And it obviously worked for you.
yeah.
So then you applied and you were successful in your, as you say, your resume being screened because you got invited for an interview.
Mm.
So would you like to, I'd like to hear your interview experience, and whether there was more than one, and in person or virtual, and how that all worked.
Yeah. Well, submitting it even, I submitted it on Seek, but I did also follow up with an email. So I didn't hear from them for a few months, and I
Oh, for
saw
a few
on
months.
Seek,
Okay.
yeah, and I'd seen on Seek that about 1,000 people had applied and
Okay.
700 had included a CV. So I thought, oh, I am really keen on this specific company. They were definitely
Yeah.
my first choice by a massive margin. So I
Yeah.
decided to follow up with an email. So they had an email, contact us about career
Was it just
opportunities. So I sent the
a
email.
generic one? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like HR at the company's
Yeah.
email. So I sent it through to that, and then somebody got back in touch with me. Oh, what branch specifically were you looking at? So I was able to then have my resume and CV emailed directly to the person that was essentially deciding who got an interview. So he said that they had seen my resume and CV on Seek,
Yeah.
and they were going to go ahead with an interview. So it was just the one interview, which I was a bit surprised about, but apparently it's pretty
Okay.
standard for this industry.
Yeah.
Um, it was the one interview. It was in person, which was pretty nice. It was my
Okay.
first and only now ever in-person interview that I've done.
Since
So
COVID, obviously, since COVID.
yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, as well, it was just 2 retail jobs before this, and they were online during COVID.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I think it makes a big difference being able to sit down and talk directly to the people, and
Uh-huh.
um, that was that was pretty nice as well. You can show as well your presentation, so wearing the nice clothes and making sure that you're polite to the people around you and little things.
Yeah.
Um, so that was
You
good.
can
And
bring your
yeah,
personality into the room, I think is what I'm
yeah,
hearing you
yeah,
say as well. Yeah.
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 So it was a good interview.
How many people were interviewing you?
There were 2 people there, and then there was another person that was calling in remote.
Okay.
So it was in their
All right.
office in the conference room, which is it's in just outside of Melbourne, and the I was looking at the 2 people, and the whole windows behind them was just the view of the Melbourne skyline. So that was a little bit distracting. Um, but it was really cool to see their office and where they operate, and just the
And did
environment that was I was maybe going to be in.
and just on that environment and a feel of the office, because you talked about culture, which is part of it. Did you get a feel for the vibe in the office when you were in there and you're thinking, "Oh yeah, this feels nice."
Well, I mean, there was somebody that um sort of came into the office with me at the same time, and he was like, "Oh, obviously looked a bit lost. You helped me out. Oh, do you want some water?" Got me a glass of water, which was great.
Oh,
It was everybody was pretty hard at work. Not all the
yeah,
desks are filled. They have a lot of empty desks for people that come and go.
yeah,
But it was just it was a nice location. And yeah, I don't know if there was like so much as a vibe and culture, but there definitely weren't any red flags, which was a good
Okay,
a good
that's
thing.
good. Yeah.
Mm.
So, what were your tips for preparing for that interview that you can share, Maclyn?
Mm. Definitely, I went on to the company's website
Uh-huh.
and had a look at all their values, some of their projects. I memorized a few of their values,
Okay.
just to maybe be able to slip into conversation or
Yeah.
um, bring it back again to connecting their values to myself and how I relate to them and giving them practical
Uh-huh.
examples of how my life relates to it. So,
Uh-huh.
for example, one of their values was working with a team to achieve a common goal.
Right.
So I play footy and I got to speak about that, and working in a
Uh-huh.
team to win, but also to have fun is sort
Uh-huh.
of the main goal, I suppose, is having
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Um, so that was like, I think a good thing that you can show that you took the initiative to look at their values, to know them and be able to say them, and also then to relate them back to yourself. So I think that was a good one. And then also just a bit about their projects. If you have a bit of a stalk on their LinkedIn and you can ask them about certain projects that they've done. Oh, I think this is really cool. Shows your passion in a way and your interest specifically that you're buying into the work that they're doing.
Love that. And
Mm.
what about some of the questions? What were some of the
Mm.
questions that you can remember, or maybe a couple of the challenging ones?
Yeah. Oh, they did ask me one that was how do you handle conflict in the workplace?
Ah, okay.
Um, which I was a bit like, "Ooh, I don't." I try and stay away from it. Um, but I remember something that they said that they were like, "Oh, that's." I said, "You always just go into it assuming that everything's a miscommunication and that it's not personal, it's just a mistake." Um, and the person that was interviewing me said, "Yeah, exactly, like a no blame situation." And I said, "Yeah, that's was a good way to summarize it." So I liked that. I definitely thought that they were on the same page about that and they appreciated that. It's not just leave it, don't bring it up, but
Yeah.
have a conversation about it, but just to clarify things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, another one was examples of working in a team. Again, playing the fact that I played footy was great. Came up
Uh-huh.
in so many different things that I could be like, oh, well, footy. Um, and it was what do you bring to a team environment as well, which I just said it's a positive attitude.
Yeah. A
And
kick-ass
then
attitude is what I bring. Is
yeah,
that what you said?
yeah,
A kick yeah.
yeah, especially footy, yeah. Um, yeah, and then there was what is something that you struggle with, I suppose. I
Oh,
can't remember
okay.
exactly
Yeah.
the wording, but um, sort of, I guess it is the question of what's your weakness, but it was framed in a different way. Um,
Mm,
and I think I said it was sometimes bringing that positive attitude. So you can sort of say it's a strength, it's something that you can do, but it is something still that you struggle with. And I think I said, sometimes you're tired, you're not always in the mood to be chirpy and full of energy, but just still trying to bring that because other
yeah.
people feed off that energy. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I suppose it was the old sort of, oh, what's your weakness? Oh, it's you say perfectionist or something like that. So the double
You know,
sided edge. But
yeah, you've done the research, you know the drill. But I think the
mm,
important thing also is, and I say, be yourself and
mm,
answer authentically. Don't try and answer what you think they want to hear from you, because to your point
yeah,
about culture, it probably won't be the right fit if you try and anticipate something. So I think it's
absolutely.
if they value honesty, then you're in the right place.
Mm,
Which is a good segue into the reverse questioning of, you've done the research about these organisations and you've had your interview. What were you looking for from an employer? So you talked about culture was one of them.
Hmm,
What were some of the other things on your list of, say, top 5 that you were looking for?
top 5.
Or
Um,
top top
from
whatever.
in Yeah, from an industry perspective, I wanted something that was I wanted to work on a variety of projects. I didn't want to work
Uh-huh.
on the same thing again and again. There are
Yep.
a lot of companies. Again, one of the ones that my friend works for, they do hospitals. They
Right.
specialize in the construction of hospitals.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I wanted to be able to not just do hospitals or just do schools, or something like that. Uh, the variety interested me. It would keep
Uh-huh.
things a bit fresh, change things up a bit. You work on a project for a few months or a few years, and then you get to change and do something new, which was exciting. Um, I also I was really looking for somewhere that I could see that the people were passionate about the work that they were doing. So
Uh-huh.
going into the work environment, I know that I have a passion for the the physical environment and building and the construction of buildings, but I
Yep.
wanted to see that they also aligned with that. If you go to a
Mhm.
company and the employees are just like, "Oh, yeah, whatever. Um, I'm just here for the money. I'm just here for the paycheck," then it's not
Yep.
really, again, I suppose, a culture that you wanna be at. You want somebody that actually is investing in the work that they're doing on
Mhm.
a level more than just income. So
Uh-huh.
that was a definitely big one that I could see. Location as well, they said, they have offices in Geelong if you wanted to move out, and I'm like, "No, don't really wanna."
Not part of that adulting bit yet.
Yeah, no, yeah, one step at a time. Yeah. But yeah, I
Okay.
suppose those were the big ones.
Yeah, so variety, location, and, a genuine that their purpose was genuine,
Mm,
I guess
yeah,
is yeah.
yeah.
And what questions did you ask them, Mac?
Mm. I the one I asked at the end of the interview that I prepared to basically check if they were passionate, which I sort of knew
Yep,
throughout the interview that they were. I definitely got the impression that they were. But I suppose just to double check at the end of the interview, I asked what their favorite project was that they worked on in their time at the company.
yep,
Um, I figured if it's a chance for them to talk about something that they really loved and that they were passionate about and that they've done recently. Um, so they got to talk a bit. They had done a project, the Werribee Zoo elephant enclosure. So they all
okay.
said that because they just said it was awesome. They had a family day. They got to tell me about a family day that they had where everybody that in the company got to take their families to the
Ta
zoo for free and see the elephants in the
oh,
enclosure that they built. So they got
aw,
pretty excited about that, which immediately is a massive green flag that they really love what they do. They take pride
yep,
in what they do.
yep,
So that was sort of the big end question, that I
okay.
did. But I think throughout the interview, I think it was a good thing to put questions within your answers almost, or to
Okay,
ask
yeah.
them little things where you can, where it makes
To have a
sense, just about.
conversation rather than a yeah,
Exactly, yeah, rather than an
yeah.
interrogation, they ask a question, I answer it, they ask a question, I answer it. It's a bit more back and forth, and it has a bit more of a natural flow.
Yeah, that's very, very
Mm,
clever and good advice. That's very good
mm.
advice. So, um, well, congratulations. You actually got offered the grad role. And
Yeah.
as I said at the beginning, you have actually started. So let's now talk about where you're at and what your first few weeks have been like, and tell us what's all this adulting life really like.
It's a lot of time. Um, so yeah,
What was your first week like,
work-wise,
perhaps?
yeah. First week was, oh gosh, I feel like I've only had 3 weeks and yet I'm already like, "Ooh, first week." First week, the first day was just an onboarding day. So learning about company values, doing some of the inductions, the safety stuff and culture, um, sexual harassment, cybersecurity, like modules that we had to go through, getting us set up, telling us about uniform and the hours, all that, all the admin stuff, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then oh, the rest of the week was pretty quick, I think. The next day I was at a desk working and they didn't really have much for me to do. So I was they run it so I get to spend a few months in all the different sections of the company. So at
Okay.
the moment I'm spending my first 3 months in estimating. So a new project comes in and they budget it and try and win the project from the client. So I get to
Okay.
spend some time in there, and then eventually I'll spend time elsewhere in the company, which is a great system. It's a bit like the flexible first year engineering. You get to try it all out before
Yes.
you
Bit of
decide.
bit of a trial. Bit of a trial.
Yeah, which just
And how
makes
long is the
a lot
grad
of sense.
program actually?
It's
Mac,
two
how long is the
years.
grad program? 2 years.
2
Okay.
years,
And
yeah.
so, what is the
So,
rotation every 6 or 3 months? What sort of rotation time frame is
um,
it, or does it
I think it
depend?
depends. Yeah,
Okay.
my first 3 months will be in estimating. It's a bit of a smaller team and a smaller uh, part of the business.
Okay.
Even though it is important. So I think that's just 3 months. I think other ones will be 6 months, but I think a lot of it depends what makes sense. They're not going to say, okay, you absolutely have to spend this amount of time in this place or with these
Yeah.
people. If they're not doing work that's relevant to my getting to try it and getting to learn, if that makes sense. Or if we don't have any
Yeah.
projects close to me and I have to go to Bendigo to be on site at a construction site, then
Yeah.
that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think it's going to be, yes, it's very structured and in they have sort of like lessons and things to tick off on what you've learned. And I have an understanding of this. I've done that. But I think it's more like you get to it when you get to it, which is good.
Okay.
Um, So yeah, the first day or the second day I was in and it was a bit boring. I didn't really have a lot of work, but they slowly they were also really busy, so they didn't have time necessarily to teach me. But
Yeah.
eventually the littler tasks they would teach me and slowly it's just I'm getting used to the software and calling up subcontractors to get quotes from them. So yeah, been my call list is very long. I think I must have called at least 100 people this week. Um, but slowly getting there and learning more every day and getting better at those things that I have been learning.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
it's a gentle immersion into your first real professional role, which sounds perfect.
Mm.
Um, and I know you've only been there 3 weeks, you said, and you're still learning, and it's a slow learn. But now that you're in it, um, how do you think your degree and your skills you learnt have prepared you so far?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the general knowledge.
Okay.
The company doesn't have a specific requirement of civil engineering. A lot of people have done project management or construction management. Um, People have done mechanical engineering and whatnot. So I think it is just the general terminology. I do think
Yeah.
they mentioned
Okay.
actually in the interview that getting your degree was almost just a bit of a tick off. Like, okay, you're
Yeah.
capable of committing to it, you're capable of finishing it and passing. Now, basically, we just want the good people in our company and we'll teach you the rest.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
great.
more for me just the general knowledge, terminologies, and understandings that I can apply in a different way almost
Yeah.
in a construction company. Um, but they have said, like, with the engineering background, like, oh, might if when I spend some time with the design team and they're looking at footings and the structural drawings just to double check everything, no, not my strength. But they value the fact that a lot of people have done different degrees. So it means that we all have slightly different knowledge bases that we can reflect on.
Bring to the yeah.
Even, yeah.
Okay, so that's good. It's a diverse background of people that are in the
Mm,
organization, and each of you have got your strengths and your learning skill stack that you're bringing in, which is, yeah, perfect, especially for your
mm,
first role. So, sounds like you've made the right choice in terms of organization for where you want to be right now. Um,
definitely.
so, what excites you most about this grad program? Do you think that you can see into the future?
Yeah, I guess I'm excited that I get to try lots of different stuff
Yeah.
because I don't know exactly what I wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
So the flexibility is really exciting. The culture really excites me. Seems like really good people. They have a really high retention rate. So
Yeah,
their graduate program, I think they said they had 98% retention. And the
that's
2%
fantastic.
was just because somebody wanted to move to a different state and they don't
Okay, yeah.
have a branch in that
Can't
state. Yeah.
yeah,
And they were really proud of that fact. So they are definitely investing time into you to get you up to speed and learning, and they want you to stay long term.
yeah, that's
It's
perfect.
it's yeah, it's pretty cool. They started as a really small company, and they as a carpentry company, and
Ah, a
they
family like
hired
a family
yeah,
business? Is that where it's yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So the they had apprentices, and their apprentice program was really important to them. And their CEO, their current CEO, started as an apprentice, which seems crazy, but all of their like high manager positions, they all started as apprentices, just in the workshop making cabinetry and such.
Yeah,
They're really proud of the fact that they develop their people. There's opportunities for progression.
yeah,
So obviously I'm not excited to progress, but I'm excited that there's opportunities and I can stay in the same company and
yeah.
still grow within that. So you have a chance to really, I suppose, put down your roots and connect with the company
Mm,
itself and go from there, which is exciting. Yeah.
that's awesome, and that's actually a bit of a contrast because I think some of the stats are saying that Gen Zs, which is what you are,
Mm,
have got a short life cycle in organizations. So, and it's not everyone, it is a
mm,
generalization, but I think it's maybe some of that statistic is driven by growth opportunities. And it sounds like that's what you want. And there's that
mm,
opportunity there for you to explore, which is fabulous. Now,
mm.
we're getting towards the end. And is there one or two things that you wish you'd known that would have helped you now that you can share?
Now, as in the workplace or getting the
Yeah,
job?
in reflection on where you are and the choices that you
Mhm.
made, is there something that if someone's listening and they think, "Oh, should I do this or should I do that?" Is there a little bit of advice or wisdom now that you're where
Yeah.
you are in your good place that you can share with them?
Apply to as many companies as you can,
Mhm.
just to get the feelers out there. But if you are really keen on something, follow up with them. So how I
Mhm.
said I applied on Seek, but then I also emailed them directly. That
Mhm.
was, I think, a big thing.
Yep.
Writing a CV, tailoring it, and I think a lot of it is sort of personality. Make sure you connect with your personality. If a company gets on with you, if they see that you have a positive attitude, that you are gonna mesh well with the people that are existing at the company, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter as much. I suppose, at least in my experience. In other industries it would be very different, but the
Yep.
technical knowledge that you bring doesn't matter as much as your personality and the attitude that you bring towards work, because the technical knowledge can always be taught, but
Exactly.
if you don't get on with the people in the company, if you don't align with the values, that's not something that can be fixed.
Yeah, agree
Mm,
100%. And kudos to you for knowing that at the stage in
mm,
your professional career in life that you are. Um, that's a really important takeaway, I think. So,
mm.
and I have to ask, and I like asking this question, are you
Yeah.
feeling fulfilled right now?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
I am
You didn't have
happy
to
with
think
where
about
I
that.
ended up. No. I
Yeah,
was
that's
thinking I got
brilliant.
to drive to Lorne to do a site visit, and I thought,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is a bit of a pat on the back moment." Like, I feel like I've picked well. I've picked my career well, and I've ended up in a good company, and, um, yeah, no, that was definitely a good a good sign.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I'm really happy for you that the dots have joined, but it hasn't come
Yeah,
without the work that you've put into it as well. So well done, Mac.
thank
So,
you.
Maclyn, I've loved chatting with you. Your story is just so relatable. And it's not just because you're a young woman stepping into STEM as you did in uni, but because you're embracing your adulting life one experience at a time. And you've really shared that today in this episode. And from pretty busy, or I should say, from pretty empty to pretty busy, you're showing us that adulting isn't just about knowing everything. It's about taking one experience at a time, learning as you go, and finding your rhythm along the way. So thank you again for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Major in Adulting, and a big thank you again to Macklin for sharing her story. If this episode gave you something to think about or remind you that you're not alone in figuring it all out, hit follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Share it with someone who's finding their own way. And remember, adulting isn't about having it all figured out. It's about finding your way together. So until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep majoring in adulting.